human cadet stepped out of the small shuttle. Her boots hit in the cold metal floor of the alien academy. She looked around, eyes wide, seeing towers of strange structures and ships that glowed under the alien sky. Tall figures moved quickly around her, their shapes unlike anything she had seen on Earth. Every whisper, every glance seemed to say the same thing. She does not belong here. Her name was Leora, and she had been chosen as Earth's first human cadet. But the aliens did not see her as special. They laughed at her small frame, her human weakness, and her trembling hands. The other cadets walked past, snickering, their voices sharp and cold. A large alien with scales taller than two humans stopped and looked at her. You were supposed to fight among us," he hissed, and the words cut deeper than any blade. Leora swallowed her fear and lifted her head. She had trained for this moment, learned everything from the old Earth manuals, and knew she could survive if she stayed focused, but she also knew that in this place, survival was not enough. She had to prove herself in front of predators, not friends. The Academy's halls were like a labyrinth, filled with glowing symbols and moving stairways. Every corner seemed alive, as if the building itself watched the new cadets. Leora's heart pounded when she heard a sudden scream from the upper level. Aliens she had never seen before ran past her. Some injured, some carrying strange weapons. Chaos had arrived, and the Academy was no longer quiet. Some cadets tried to push her aside, laughing, "Stay out of the way, human. You will only get killed." But Leora did not move. She took a deep breath and remembered what her instructors on Earth hadn't told her. Humans are not strong like others, but our minds are sharper, and our courage runs deeper than any aliens. A loud crash shook the hall, and the lights flickered, casting long shadows on the walls. From the shadows, creatures emerged, faster and larger than any cadet, their claws sharp and eyes glowing. Panic spread, and most cadets ran, screaming in fear. Leora's body moved on its own, stepping forward while the others fled. Her mind calculated, her instincts guided her, and suddenly, she was no longer afraid. One of the creatures lunged at her, fast and deadly, but Leora dodged. She grabbed a nearby metal rod and swung with all her strength. The creature fell, stunned, and the other cadets froze, watching a human fight as if she was something more than flesh and bone. Whispers spread through the Academy. Did she just kill it? The battle continued, but Leora moved with precision, striking only when needed. Every move showed she was not just surviving, she was learning, adapting, becoming something the aliens had never expected. By the time the attack ended, several creatures lay on the ground, and the hall was silent. The alien cadets stared, some in fear, some in disbelief, and even the instructors looked surprised. Leora stood in the middle of the hall, chest rising and falling, hair sweaty and face dirty. For the first time, she felt something she had never felt before: respect. Or at least the start of it. She knew the road ahead would be dangerous, full of trials and enemies, but one thing was clear: she was no longer the outcast. She had shown that humans could fight, and somewhere in the whispers, she heard a name begin to form. A name that would follow her through the Academy. Death. Whisper. And with that, the night settled over the Academy, quiet but tense. Everyone waited to see what the small human would do next, and Leora, the outcast from Earth, smiled slightly, ready for what was coming. The night after the attack, the Academy was quieter than usual. The alien cadets whispered among themselves, glancing at Leora as she walked through the halls. Some stared with fear, others with disbelief. She kept her head down, but inside, her mind raced, planning, calculating, learning. The instructors called everyone to the training arena, a massive space filled with glowing walls and floating platforms. It was time for the human cadet to face the real test. Leora stepped forward, her heart steady but her nerves alive. The other cadets snickered. She is human, she will not last a minute. And their laughter was sharp, almost cruel. The doors to the arena opened, and the air shifted. Creatures were released, faster and smarter than the last ones. Their eyes glowed red, and their claws clicked against the metal floor. Cadets raised their weapons, but hesitation slowed them. Leora, however, did not hesitate. She had seen fear before, and she knew fear could kill you faster than claws. The first creature lunged at a tall alien, ripping its armor with ease. Screams echoed, and panic spread. Leora ran forward, calculating her path. She saw the creature's weak side, a thin gap between its armor plates. With a quick jump, she struck, piercing its chest with a sharp energy blade. The creature fell silently, its glowing eyes dimming. The other cadets froze, watching, a human kill with speed and precision. More creatures came, swarming like a tide. Some cadets fled. Some attacked blindly, getting hurt. Leora moved with purpose, striking only when necessary, avoiding unnecessary risks. Her first kill had been instinct, her second was skill, and by the third, she felt a strange mix of fear and power. She realized killing was not easy, but it was survival, and she had to embrace it. One alien cadet, taller and stronger, tried to block her path. "You are not ready, human," he growled. Swinging a heavy weapon, Leora ducked, rolled, and struck his leg, knocking him down. The arena went silent for a moment. Even the instructors looked shocked, whispering to each other. This human was not just surviving. She was teaching the aliens fear. The final creature approached, faster and larger than the rest, its eyes fixed on her. Leora felt her heartbeat, faster than ever, but she remembered her training, remembered Earth's teachings. She dodged, ran up a floating platform, and jumped, landing behind the creature. With a deep breath, she struck, her blade cutting through the creature's armor. It fell, and silence filled the arena, broken only by the heavy breathing of cadets. The instructors stepped forward, their eyes wide. "This human, she is dangerous," one of them muttered. Leora felt a shiver run down her spine. She had survived, she had killed, but she also felt the weight of what she had done. The fear in her eyes mixed with awe, and a new feeling emerged: power, responsibility, and a strange loneliness. By the end of the night, the other cadets no longer laughed. Whispers spread across the academy, calling her something they could not say aloud. "Death Whisper," they said quietly. Leora walked back to her quarters, heart pounding. Her first kills were done, and she knew the academy had changed forever. She was no longer just the human cadet, she was something more, something the galaxy would begin to fear. And as she looked at the stars outside the academy window, she wondered what challenges would come next, and whether she was truly ready for the darkness ahead. The days after the arena fight were quiet, but the whispers never stopped. Leora walked through the halls of the academy, feeling eyes on her. At every turn, cadets avoided her, and even the instructors gave her cautious glances. The name Death Whisper had started to spread, and it followed her like a shadow. She trained harder than ever, running through simulations, learning alien technology, and studying the tactics of creatures she had never seen. Her human body was small and weak compared to others, but her mind was sharp, and she remembered every movement, every attack, every weakness. She learned to strike without warning, to move without noise, and to think faster than anyone around her. One evening, while walking through a dark corridor, she overheard two alien cadets whispering, "They say she can kill without mercy, even creatures that can destroy us." Leora smiled slightly, but her heart felt heavy. She knew that being feared came with loneliness. No one could approach her now without fear, and she did not know if she wanted friendship or just survival. The academy sent them on a practice mission in the outer sectors of the ship, a simulated battle against creatures that could move through shadows. Leora's squad hesitated, unsure of what to do, but she stepped forward, voice calm, "Follow my lead, or you will fall." Her confidence surprised everyone, and they obeyed, moving as she directed. The creatures emerged from the darkness, fast and silent. Cadets panicked, but Leora stayed calm, calculating every move. She struck first, her blade precise, disabling one creature before the others even noticed. Her team followed her lead, striking in patterns she had created in moments. By the time the simulation ended, the creatures were defeated, but the instructors stared, some with fear, some with admiration. "This human, she is not just a cadet, she is a weapon," one whispered. That night, Leora sat alone, thinking about the first time she had killed. Fear had mixed with power then, and now it had become part of her. She wondered if humans were meant for this, to be feared, to be alone, but she also knew that if she did not embrace it, she would die. The galaxy would not forgive weakness, and she could not forgive herself for failing. Rumors spread across the academy like wildfire. Cadets spoke in hushed tones, calling her Death Whisper, the shadow that moved. Unseen, some were terrified of training with her. Others studied her movements, trying to copy her speed and strategy. But no one could match her instincts. her combination of fear and precision. A challenge arrived one night, a test from the instructors. They sent her into the lower sectors of the academy alone. Darkness surrounded her, sounds echoed from hidden corners. Every shadow could hide a predator, every whisper could be an ambush. But Leora moved silently, calculated each step, striking creatures before they knew she was there. When she returned, the instructors nodded in respect, but their eyes held a new caution. She was no longer a cadet to train, she was a force to watch. And as she walked back to her quarters, the name Death Whisper rang louder in her mind. She was no longer the outcast, no longer the human they laughed at. She was the shadow that moved unseen, the nightmare in the academy, and somewhere deep inside, she knew the real challenges were yet to come. The galaxy had not faced a human like her before, and they would never forget her. The academy was quiet as night fell, but Leora knew danger never slept. Her instincts told her something was coming, something bigger than the previous attacks. The air was thick, charged with tension, and the alien cadets whispered nervously among themselves. Even the instructors moved with caution, eyes scanning the corridors and the training halls. Suddenly, alarms blared, red lights flashing across the walls. Creatures poured into the academy, faster, larger, and more deadly than any before. The cadets panicked, some frozen with fear, others firing blindly. Leora stood at the center of the hall, eyes sharp, mind clear. She had trained for this, and now she would show them what a human could do. She moved like a shadow, striking creatures with precision and speed. Every swing of her blade, every calculated movement, brought down an enemy. Cadets followed her lead, inspired and terrified at the same time. Her strategy was simple but effective. Strike first, strike fast, and never hesitate. A massive creature lunged at a group of cadets, claws slashing, teeth flashing. Leora jumped in front, rolling under its swing, and struck its weak point. It fell with a roar, shaking the floor, and the other creatures hesitated. The cadets looked at her in awe, realizing the human was not just surviving, she was dominating. The instructors arrived, sending reinforcements, but Leora did not wait for them. She moved through the chaos, striking creatures and guiding cadets. Her small frame was deceiving. She was faster than any alien, smarter than most. Each strike, each dodge, was calculated, almost like a deadly dance. The creatures began to retreat, confusion spreading among them. It was clear to everyone watching. Leora was no longer just a cadet, she was a force. By the time the attack ended, several cadets were injured, and parts of the academy were damaged. But the creatures lay defeated, some destroyed, some fleeing into the darkness. The alien cadets stared at her with fear and admiration. Even the instructors could not hide their astonishment. Whispering, "She is unstoppable." Leora stood in the center of the hall, chest heaving, sweat on her face, her blade still glowing from the fight, eyes scanning for the next threat. For the first time, she felt the weight of her reputation. The whispers of death whisper echoed through the academy. No one would forget the human who fought like a shadow, who moved like death itself. That night, she walked alone through the quiet corridors, the moonlight shining on her face, reflecting in her determined eyes. She thought about the battles ahead, knowing each one would be harder. The academy would no longer see her as weak. No one would dare underestimate her again. She had earned fear and respect, but she also felt a growing tension. Something darker was coming, something that could challenge even her. And as she reached her quarters, a small smirk appeared on her face. The human cadet from Earth, once mocked and laughed at, was now the nightmare of the academy, the shadow in the dark, and she was ready for whatever the galaxy dared to throw at her next. The academy was never the same after that night. Cadets whispered her name in fear and awe. Death Whisper, the human who had survived and conquered what no one else could. Even the instructors moved cautiously when she entered the halls. The small human from Earth had become something more, something dangerous, something unforgettable. Leora trained every day, pushing herself beyond limits. She learned to combine human ingenuity with alien technology. She could predict attacks, strike faster than anyone, and move without a sound. Her reputation spread across the academy, and news reached other galactic sectors everywhere. Aliens spoke of the human who had become a nightmare. One day, a new challenge arrived, unlike anything she had faced before. A team of elite alien cadets, strongest and most skilled, was sent to test her. They surrounded her in the training arena, weapons ready, eyes full of determination and doubt. The air was tense, every cadet waiting to see if the human could survive this. Leora smiled faintly, her eyes cold and focused. She did not fear them, she respected their skill, but she knew she was faster, smarter, stronger in ways they did not understand. The fight began, swift and deadly, movements precise, attacks calculated. Cadets fell one by one, struck by her speed and strategy. Some tried to predict her moves, but she was always one step ahead. By the end, only silence remained. The elite team defeated, and the Academy in awe. That night, the whispers turned to stories, the stories to legend. Cadets spoke of her in hushed voices. She is not human, she is death. Leora walked alone through the halls, proud but calm. She did not fight for glory or fear. She fought because survival demanded it, and humanity required it. Even the instructors admitted what no one had before. The human cadet had become the greatest force the Academy had ever seen. She had survived attacks that would have killed multiple aliens. She had learned, adapted, and conquered. The galaxy had not seen a human like her, and they would never forget. Outside the Academy, stars glimmered like silent witnesses. Leora looked at them, thinking of Earth, of the place she had left behind. She knew her journey was only beginning. The galaxy would challenge her, test her limits, and throw dangers she could not yet imagine. But she was ready, sharper, stronger, and wiser than any alien opponent. She had become the shadow that moved, unseen, the nightmare that haunted the galaxy. And somewhere deep inside, a fire burned, a human fire, small but unbreakable. She was the outcast who became a nightmare, the cadet called Death Whisper, the legend of the human who would not be ignored, feared, or defeated. And as the stars watched silently, Leora smiled, slightly, ready for the challenges to come, for she knew one truth. The galaxy had not yet seen the full power of humanity.